different.
Okay.
This is going to be... I think I will introduce you as the interviewer for me this time because I don't know how else to do it.
I know, because it's your show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then... Hi. I usually go by the name of Nancy Norway. And this is usually Nancy Norway Presents Windmills. And I usually interview people. But today I'm allowing my friend Sue Hansen the privilege of interviewing me. So I won't be Nancy Norway today. I'll be Nancy Newman, my real name. And we're going to talk about what I really have done for a living for 25 years. And Sue is going to ask me the questions.
This is wonderful. Okay.
So therewith, we shall begin.
So the gist of this interview is the life of a studio teacher. And when I first met Nancy, she told me about being a studio teacher, and I thought, what is that? And she's worked in Hollywood, so I want to learn more about this fascinating profession, this career, because real quick, doing a movie or actors, you only hear about the top names, the stars, the producers, directors, but you don't hear anything other than behind the scenes. And you're definitely behind the scenes. So how did you get in this profession of a studio teacher?
First of all, I'm a crew member. They have things called above the line, which would be your producer, who's the top, and your director, who has his own concept but answers to the producers, and your writers, who are all creative, and actors. They're called the talent. So they're all above the line. Below the line is everybody else, all the crew, all the people that haul the gear, that shoot the shots. The DP is also above the line. That would be the director of photography. The one that coordinates all the different cameras and also has a concept of. So, and sometimes you get the DP and the director and the producers with 3 different concepts, and that's fun. So anyway, so the studio teacher is mandated by the state of California whenever there are minors working. So this is not that I teach kids who are the children of famous movie stars. This is kids who star in movies, television, or do print ads, or do anything in the business in their own right. So therefore I work with usually kids 18 and down, although I've taught 1 or 2 18 and above and in college. But the studio teacher is there for 4 different reasons. We're there for the education, obviously. We teach them school. So they come from what I call their real schools. And it's real school on the set too, but you know what I mean. So they'll come from private schools or from public schools. They'll come from home schools. And it's a state law in California that you have to have 3 hours of school every day for these minors. And the reason they made these laws was because back in the 20s, 30s, the kids were starring in movies and television, and they were ignoring their schooling. And then after a year or 2 in the business, then they would be behind, and some of them would miss out on college, and so it was a problem. They didn't want the whole rest of their lives to go by the board because they starred in movies or television. So 3 hours on the set is supposed to be the equivalent of 6 hours at your regular school, because it doesn't count recess or lunch or all that. This is actual schooling. And then we teach them whatever they need. So if the kid is in 2nd grade and is learning cursive or doing some math or whatever, then we do that with the child. Usually they come with their assignments. They're supposed to. Life being what it is, they don't always. Therefore we have a little kit and we pull things out and give them things to do. Because when they're in school, they are in school and they have to do work that's from school. Then if they're 16 and have Algebra 2, chemistry, and whatever, then we do that. I wind up with the older ones a lot because I like the subjects and I took pretty much everything. So I get the older ones a lot. So education is one part. Health, that they are not exposed to really cold outside or hot or
for their well-being.
Just in general, that they get food within a certain amount of time when they come to the set. We have to memorize all these laws, and enforce them. Safety, that they don't put them in the scenes with the lions and the tigers, stuff like that. So
and bears,
I worked on the great outdoors and they had bears and I had to supervise it, and of course they have the trainers and they have all these safety measures, and you have to make sure the kid is not in danger. And just protection and just all these, it's common sense stuff, but it's also described exactly by laws. And
Okay.
so that's what we do. We do all of that. And there is this thing in a blue book which tells all the laws.
Okay.
And it's put out by the State Labor Board, the producers, and the teachers, and everybody signed off on it.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to know,
Okay.
they can get this book and read it.
So you're certified and licensed?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
licensed by the State Labor Board of California
Okay.
to be a studio teacher.
Okay.
In order to get that, you have to have your elementary, they used to call it, now they call it multiple subject teaching credential, it has to be clear.
Okay.
And your secondary, they used to call it, now they call it single subject teaching credential.
Okay.
Has to be clear. So you have to have teaching credentials
Oh.
all the way up through.
Wow. Okay.
Because one day you meet 10 second graders on the pier at Santa Monica, and the next day you're teaching 5 16-year-olds
Wow.
at another set.
Wow.
So because you never know who you're going to get,
Right. Right.
you have to be certified in all of it.
Wow. So your education has to be very extensive to
Pretty much,
be even
yeah.
qualified.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. And of course people major in different things. And,
Okay.
And they get to know who's good in which subjects. And so
Okay.
often, especially
Okay.
with the older ones who are trying to get into sometimes Ivy League schools,
Okay.
they, recommend certain teachers for certain kids.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
of what they're studying.
Okay. But are you ever asked for?
Yes,
Okay.
we can be requested,
Oh,
which is a
okay.
wonderful thing. And I
Okay.
have been requested a lot. It's
Okay.
a blessing.
Okay. So how many child actors have you worked with over the years?
Countless. I don't know. Because when you go on that, when you shoot with extras, like there's going to be a baseball game and you're going to have 10 kids. You can only have 10
okay.
kids when school is in session. You can
Okay.
have 20 during the summer because they still need studio teachers in the
Wow.
summer for the welfare.
Oh, so it's not one-on-one. Sometimes it's you actually.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
If it's one-on-one, that's because that kid has clout and negotiated that.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's
Okay.
one on mini,
Oh.
or one on 3, or one on 5.
Okay.
And you can have kids of all different ages. I think my wildest day was out in the middle of the Mojave Desert in the midst of a dust storm.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
had school in a trailer. There were 10 kids, and each one of them was in a different grade, and none of them had brought schoolwork.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was the worst.
That's called challenging.
Yes. Therefore, I bring in, Los Angeles Times or something with me, and I
Yeah.
go, okay, you didn't bring schoolwork. Well, guess what? Here's the front page of the paper. Either we can go through and pick out nouns and pronouns and call it English,
Yeah.
or we can find current events and call it history, or
Yeah.
we can turn to another part and read on the
Okay.
latest science discovery and call it science. Or
Okay.
I just happen to have a copy of the Constitution that you can sit there and read. Or did you remember you maybe had your assignment in your trunk? Yes, you did. What do you know? Well, then why don't you get your mom to go get it? Because the parents are there too.
Oh, they are.
The
Okay.
parents have to be there. They have to have a guardian with them. Now, it isn't
Oh,
necessarily
okay.
a parent. It could be a grandparent, anybody over
Okay.
18, but
Okay.
legally responsible for the
Okay.
kid. So I'm working with kids. I'm working with parents.
Okay.
I'm working with producers.
Okay.
And all the other crew members. So you have
Oh
to
my
be sort of
gosh.
multifaceted and get along with everybody.
You have to think on your feet too, I guess.
Yeah,
And
for
flexible. So
Yeah.
does the school take place all at once, all 3 hours?
That can be any different which way,
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't decide that.
Oh,
They
okay.
decide that, and they
Okay.
tell me because they
Okay.
work out the schedule of when they're going to have the light and when they can shoot this and when they can shoot that.
So you have to work with the producers.
Oh
and-
yeah,
Okay.
and so so the first thing that happens when I get there in the morning is I ask for a call sheet. It's a piece of legal size paper.
Okay.
It says the name of the show I'm on, when sunrise and sunset is, especially if it's a movie, you'll get a call sheet. Not always on TV. And it says which scenes are coming up, which
Okay.
kid is going to be in which scene.
Okay.
So if you spend 5 minutes looking at this call sheet, you have a concept of what the producers have in mind for the day.
Wow.
Now, if you see the only kid you're teaching being in every scene, you immediately go to one of the assistant directors and say, so when did you plan for school? Because these 3 hours have got to
Right,
be.
right.
And so
'Cause that's the
usually,
law.
yeah, and they usually know this, and they
Okay.
usually don't do stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you have to work it out. So the first thing I do in the morning after reading the call sheet is make sure I know when the school's going to be. Sometimes it's in and out, in and out. So we're going to send you to school for half an hour.
Okay.
And then when we're ready on the set, when it's all set up, then
Okay.
we'll pull the kid and
Okay.
out of school, and he'll go do whatever on the set, and then
Okay.
he'll come back.
Okay.
So it's in and out. I like that because as a teacher, it makes me happy because when they're on the set, then I don't have to do anything for the set.
Right.
That's everybody else's realm.
Right.
And I can correct the papers. So if they've done
Okay.
work,
Okay.
then I can correct all that stuff.
Okay.
Then they come back to school and they have immediate feedback. So that makes me happy, that
right.
makes kids happy.
Right. Sounds more efficient.
Yeah, it's
that way,
nice.
but- okay.
And that way they get immediate feedback and,
Okay.
and they can ask questions and
Okay.
and also if it's a higher subject and it's really a complicated thing, then I can study ahead or
Okay.
study stuff while they're on
Okay.
the set.
So
I
every
like
day-
the in and out.
Every day could be different.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
On a movie it is.
Okay.
On a TV show it usually has a regular thing. Like one TV show I worked, they wanted the kids to go straight through 3 hours of school and that was it. And then do nothing but production the rest of the day.
Ah, okay.
But that was rare.
Okay.
Usually it's in and out.
Okay. What are some of the most fascinating locations you've been to?
My favorite ever was following a movie around called Man in the Moon. Reese Witherspoon. It was her first movie. She'd been chosen out of, 3,000 people nationwide. And
Wow.
was 15 when she shot it in Louisiana. And I didn't know her then, but after it was done, I met her on another set,
Yeah.
Jack the Bear. And then she requested me to go on this PR trip. And
Wow.
we went to 8 different cities,
Oh
the
my
major
gosh.
cities in the U.S. and Canada.
Okay.
They flew us, they put us up in the Four Seasons. And at night, they'd show the movie in a local theater. And they
Wow.
would have given over the radio free passes.
Okay.
And people would come and
Wow.
then they would get to ask the 3 stars the questions, at the
Wow.
end.
Wow.
Then the next morning it would be like a press thing
Okay.
where all the press would show up and see the movie and talk to them and interview them. And sometimes when we were in Atlanta, they brought in the junior high schools and then they got to
Wow.
see the movie and
Wow.
talk to them. So every day was a different place and different showings, different interviews.
You still
and
have
then
to
I would
teach.
go. Exactly. So we did it on the plane. We did it in her room. I remember calling Harpeth where Reese went from the plane on some kind of a plane phone or what,
Yeah.
to make sure they'd fax it to the hotel. So then I had a fax ready. And then,
Right, right.
And then, for the producers, it was easier for her to go to school at the hotel.
Okay.
They didn't want to deal with it when we were doing all this other
Okay.
stuff. So you have
Okay.
to be flexible to fit it all in. But that was my most fun job ever, I think.
That's
that and the
great.
Britney Spears tour.
Oh my gosh. So
I didn't work with Britney. I worked with 4 girls out of Florida.
Okay,
But
yeah.
in a bus every night, lying in those little beds.
so you must be gone from home a lot.
I was, but most of it was in LA.
Okay.
So that was fairly
Okay.
local.
Okay.
However, I would come home once in the middle of the weekend on weekends,
Okay.
but it was different.
Do you get a lot of notice before you're assigned a
Not usually.
Okay.
They do everything else first with more notice. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get a month.
Okay.
You might get a couple weeks or a week.
Wow.
But sometimes it's, okay, hi, this is your agent, Veronica is her name. Can you go tomorrow morning, 7:30, be at Santa Monica Pier?
Wow.
So you show up for what you think is a one-day job. It turns into a feature film.
Okay.
Those were the good days.
Yes, I imagine.
Because I'm freelance and I go,
Yeah. Is this-
job to job. So
Is this a highly competitive career?
terrible.
Okay.
And the way I got into it, to go back to that question you asked me before, is my mom went to a party. When I was doing regular teaching, I had gotten both credentials and was a regular teacher in a private school in Riverside. And my mom went to a party and she came home and she said, Nancy, I think you might like to do this. She had met a studio teacher.
Wow.
And so I
Okay.
called her the next day and she talked to me about it. And I then applied. And I had actually applied in 79 or 80. And I finished my credentials in 85. So my mom went to the party before I was teaching, actually. And I went back and got both credentials for a lot of different reasons. And I forgot all about the Hollywood thing. And then
okay.
one of my distant relatives died and I met somebody there that knew about it. So I got the phone number, so I called. And they said, 200 people a day or a week call us to become a studio teacher. And we don't hire that many people. And I
Okay.
said, okay, well, what are you looking for? And they said, well, what we really need is when the kids go on location, we need somebody who can teach them all the subjects up through high school, especially math and foreign languages. So do you have that? And I said, well, I can teach math up through calculus, and I have a double major in French and German, and a master's degree in French. They're like, what's your name and phone number? And it was, come on in, let's talk to you. So I went in. So they
Okay.
decided they'd hire me, and as soon as they hired me, I got all excited. They said, oh, don't quit your day job. Because then there were 75 or 80 regular teachers, and then there's a whole list of subs, and I was on the bottom.
Okay.
And every day it started at number 1.
Oh, I see.
But that, so I hardly worked the first
Okay.
year.
Okay.
And I did teach in a regular school that year.
Okay.
And then later things changed and it wound up being a rotation basis, and then I got more work.
Okay.
So little by little I started to work more.
So once you got your foot in the door, didn't it
Yeah,
gradually
the
move
system
forward.
changed, yeah.
Okay, great. So how many years have you been doing this?
25
Oh
years.
my goodness.
Started in 85 and it's 2010. So.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's fun. I really like it.
So
It's hard times too when you're between jobs and you feel like the next job is never going to happen.
I was
That's
wondering
hard.
about that. So
But it's fun when you have the jobs.
Right.
And it can be demanding and challenging.
okay.
It can also be tons of fun. So there's ups and
Okay.
downs.
So in the Hollywood, you hear so many bad things, and the not so good, the morals and whatnot. How do you deal with that on a set? That if, especially like you said, you have to watch. You're responsible for that child.
Yeah, and
for-
actually the morals is one of them. That's one thing I
Oh,
didn't-
really?
That's one
Okay.
of the 4 things.
Okay.
For example, I'll give you specific. In the great outdoors, there were 5 kids. One was 12th grade, one was 11th, and 3 were 5th, 6th grade. And there were 2 boys and 3 girls. And the boy who was 10 was playing a boy who was precocious and ahead of himself.
Okay.
So they had an issue of Playboy magazine by his bed. But I had told the kids when I first started working with them that if anything ever bothered them, they were to tell me.
Oh,
Because part
okay.
of my job is to be their advocate and to go to the producers.
Okay.
And so the kid came to me and said, I feel uncomfortable with that magazine there. And so I went to the assistant directors, who were very cool. Sometimes they're not so cool, but these guys were good. And mentioned that. And they said, okay, no problem, immediately removed it. So that was
Well, that
cool.
was okay.
Like I said, they were cool. They didn't give me
It
the
doesn't
ass.
always go that smooth.
No.
Okay.
So sometimes it's harder than others, but we're supposed to be there as an advocate for
Okay,
the kid.
good.
We also have to make sure they go home at the right time. That's one of the hardest things.
Okay.
Because often if they don't have the shots completed, they'll want to keep the kid longer, and there are laws that the kid has to go
Okay.
home. And we're supposed to enforce the laws. We're supposed to make everybody happy, and that gets real difficult.
Okay. So you have a little bit of clout on this
Yeah.
set. So
Other than the executive producers of the
Okay,
show,
okay.
the teachers are the only ones that can close down the set.
really?
Yeah, which is another reason they hate us. They hate us, number 1, because we cost a ton of money. They hate us, number 2, because we mess with their time.
Right.
And they hate us, number 3, for that. Nevertheless, we try to work together, and I try that
Right.
it doesn't come to that, because
Right.
at 8 or 7 in the morning, when I'm looking at that call sheet, I'm trying to prevent all these problems from happening.
Right.
And I go to them right at the crack
Yeah.
of dawn and say, so when are we going to get the school in? And how are you thinking you're going to shoot this? And da 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 da.
Okay.
And then if they're doing due diligence and in good faith, working with me, then if weird stuff happens, then I work with them too.
Okay. Well, I happen to know that you have speaking of faith, you have a deep faith. And is that, I would think that would be a plus for what you do.
Amen. And that
Yes.
helps with with the moral things and all that. I have to
Right.
go by the laws of the state of California. So I
Right.
don't impose my particular preferences on Hollywood. That's illegal, and I don't do that. But
Right.
the fact that I have a faith and I love God and I love people helps me in just coping with everything and in making decisions as to if I have choices, which
Right.
thing to pick.
Right.
I usually enjoy working with most of the people in most of the places, so usually it's not a problem,
Good.
but it's
Okay.
a good thing. But there can be like logistical hassles where I just don't know the answer, or like one of those
Yeah.
catch-22 situations where the kids have to go at this time, but this thing happened that was unforeseen, like a rainstorm or like whatever. What do I do now? And God
Right.
gives me ideas
Oh, good.
to help work those
Good.
situations out. That's a definite.
Because you're definitely working with a lot of different personalities, and besides different ages. But I would think to have the Lord's strength behind
Oh,
you and
amen.
His guidance.
And even just being able to get there, because,
Yeah.
man, I had to get up at 4 o'clock, I don't even know how many mornings in order to get there, because it was a 3-hour commute in and a 3-hour commute home, which is why I stayed in LA a lot. But, you get up early in the morning and you get there at, say, 7 or 8, and the kids stay different lengths of time. If you have the littler kids, 6.5 hours.
Okay.
But once they get to be 9 to 16, then it's 9.5 hours. If they're
Okay.
over 16, 17, and they have school, then they can be there 10.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
the up to 16, through 15, you're on the set the whole time they are.
Okay.
Whether they're doing school or not, you're there because you're supervising their welfare.
That's a long day.
And if they bring in one kid at 7 in the morning who has a few scenes, and then they bring in another kid at 2 in the afternoon, you could be there from 7 in the morning till midnight.
oh my gosh.
well, not midnight, but,
But
yeah.
long days.
Long days. So it can be average 12 to 14 hours. It just depends.
Okay. Wow, that is amazing.
It's a lot of work. A lot of time.
You have to have probably, like I said, the Lord's strength and guidance
Amen.
and patience.
Patience for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any trouble with parents as far as the way you teach, or they just?
Some parents are very controlling and want to tell you exactly what you have to do with their kids. Others they don't even care if the kid learns, and there's everything in between.
Okay.
Most parents are good, and if the kid works a lot, they pretty much know the drill.
Okay.
And so usually they arrive with the kids having schoolwork. I also, at the crack of dawn, have to sign off on the work permit. If the kid doesn't have a work permit, he's not allowed to work. These are free, at least they were. I think they've changed the laws. But and then the parent is not supposed to come into the schoolroom because it's supposed to be like when the kid goes to real school.
Okay.
And then the parent has the kid during lunch or during the break times or during when they're through with school, and they can just hang out on the set. So most of the time it works out pretty well.
Good. It's probably, it really sounds glamorous, but it's just a lot of hard work too. I mean,
it's like hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. That's what they joke about. Because hurry up, get the kid ready, get the kid in there, get the hair done. And this is a big difference too. I worked on a wrestling show. It had all these boys. I was expecting, tons of time and hair. The kid was in, the kid was out, the kid was in, the kid was out. Boys, 9-year-old boys, not a lot of time in hair. 15, 16-year-old girls, hours in hair. And makeup. So I learned the difference.
Well, this is fascinating. And so you say your forte is math.
All of the different stuff. I love teaching everything. And I've taken enough science, so I teach all of that too. Biology, chemistry.
Oh my gosh.
So pretty much whatever the kid has, I teach.
Wow.
And that's why I get requested at the higher levels. The kids like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, Anna Paquin, Kirsten Dunst. I'm trying to think of the ones people would know. Logan Lerman recently. Different older ones have often requested me because I can teach the higher subjects. And a lot of those kids went on to Ivy League schools too. Christy Romano on Even Stevens went to, I think, Columbia. And Jonathan, I think, went to Harvard. And Anna Paquin went to Columbia, I believe. And different ones have gone. And Reese went on there too. And so did Natalie Portman went to Harvard. So different ones. I taught her too on Star Wars in London. That was fun.
Oh my gosh.
That was also fun. That was totally fun. Yeah, that was great.
Well, I'm really impressed that they go on to higher education.
Some do. I tend to get the ones that do, which means I get the good ones.
Good.
Because they really are motivated and they care. And so it's fun,
This is good.
It keeps me on my toes too. Because one kid will have, like Natalie, she had, the hardest subjects. She had French 6. Japanese 3, I could do nothing. But I got her at the end of Japanese 3. All I had to do was make sure she took the final, and I couldn't have helped her cheat if I'd wanted. So I don't help them, but I'm just saying. So anyway, but then she had, AP this and honors history that. And she probably had the hardest subjects of anybody I've ever taught.
So a lot of the child stars that become mega superstars.
Like Reese, they can. Reese went on, and so did Natalie. And
do they keep in touch with you as they?
I see them sometimes, and sometimes I've sent them Christmas cards, but then they move, and of course, we don't really keep in touch much. But I pray for them though, and I can read about them because they're famous in like People magazine and stuff, and I do, and I pray for them. As I know to pray, like Shia, he went through some really tough times recently, and he was on the cover of GQ this month, and there's an article about him. So I read it because I taught this person as a 13, 14-year-old. And I care about them as a person, and I pray for them.
That's wonderful. So you're following their careers.
Yeah, and I pray for them and their families. And I've done that ever since I've started teaching them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I just keep praying for it. Maybe that's too why a lot of the kids I've taught are still out there working, being blessed,
Being blessed, yes. God working in their lives
kids on home improvement I prayed for in their families. Yeah, it's been fun.
That's great, Nancy. Thank you for sharing so much of your background. And so, do you have any advice for somebody? I imagine like still competitive though.
It's really competitive, right? It's hard to become a studio teacher, not from the point of view of. I mean, it's hard enough to go back and get both credentials. But even after you get both credentials and you have to pass a state labor board test, which is not real hard, but you have to memorize the laws to do it. Then the real hard part comes. You have to find work.
And today is
now
yeah.
is not a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they used to have the big studios, but now anybody can take their laptop and make a movie practically.
Oh, okay.
So they have a
Yeah.
lot of independent films out there,
Okay.
and they're shooting all over, not just in LA. And these
Okay.
are California laws.
Oh,
So it's only in California
Oh,
or
okay.
for California kids
Okay.
that a studio teacher is mandated.
oh, so
Possibly in Pennsylvania too.
okay. So the same laws in California, does that not apply for other states that you work in?
It only applies insofar as a California kid is taken to another state,
Okay,
but otherwise, no.
okay, okay.
Oh, God.
We've gone over a half hour, so do you want to?
We have?
Yeah,
You've timed it. Oh, good, because
okay.
I didn't this time.
yeah. So we
Oh.
started. So how do you?
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. So how would you like to?
I would like to nevertheless give
Would
a
you-
chance to. I can
Okay.
cut some of this other out.
Right.
Okay.
So, what would you like me to ask you to wrap it up? For on
About praying.
okay,
Say something about that. You've seen that my faith made
Okay.
a big difference to me. Do I want to give them
Okay.
audience a chance?
okay. So when you talk about praying for the children's stars that go on to this day. Okay, let's
Yeah,
try this
something
out.
like-
Okay, that you continue to pray for them even in their adult life. That how would you want others to know how to pray? Just even not even in Hollywood, just in their own families, or how do you?
Well, if you mean how does my faith help me and how
Right.
could it help somebody else?
Exactly.
I would say if you turn to God and realize that Jesus Christ died on the cross for everybody's sin, and just avail yourself of that, that's the first step. So, like, for example, I'm going to pray a sample prayer, and if anybody wants to pray with me. Dear Jesus, come into my heart, be my personal Savior. Take my sins away. Thank you that you died for my sins so that I don't have to pay the punishment of it. Make me your child, and please help me. Fill me with the Holy Spirit. Guide my life. I give my life to you, and I thank you for your salvation. In Jesus' name, amen. So if you pray a prayer like that, then Jesus comes into your heart and lives there forever.
Yes.
And then you can cry out to him day and night, whatever you need, and he's there for you.
And I know he was on all the sets, from film to TV shows. He was
Yes.
there for you. What an incredible career, Nancy. Thank you for sharing what you've done and how you've done it and sharing your faith with us.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for interviewing me.
You're
today.
welcome.
Thank you for being here at the show, audience. Goodbye till next time.